all the heathen would worship any and everything that moves on the face of the earth. But then what now? And the difference was Jake wouldn't do that. Jake was like, yo, we're gonna deal with Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and that's it. That's why the heathen knew. And they knew it's like, hey, when you get Jake worshipping the other gods, that's how these guys can get clowned.
Well, prefect.
Right, yeah.
I'll start from, this is Psalms 106, and I'll start from 32. They angered him also at the waters of strife, so that it went ill with Moses for their sakes, because they provoked his spirit, so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord Yahweh commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a-whoring after with their own inventions. Therefore the wrath of the Lord Yahweh kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Right? Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. Many times did he deliver them, but they provoked him with their counsel, and were brought low for their iniquity. Nevertheless, he regarded their affliction and heard their cry, and he remembered for them his covenant and repented according to the multitude of mercies. It's lucky. Verse 47, save us, O Lord Yahweh, our power, and gather us from among the heathen, and give thanks unto thy holy name, and trumpet thy praise. Blessed the Lord God of Israel, everlasting, from everlasting to everlasting. I'm sorry, it's a lot, man. I actually read the point I was meant to read, but then I forgot what the point was. It's a lot.
Let me,
my God, there was a point.
Deuteronomy 4:15. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord Yahweh spoke unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. It's funny because you go through all these different images that are being made, and you can find someone somewhere worship all these things. Man. It says what? Lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them. which the Lord Yahweh, thy power, hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. Yeah, these as far as for the idols, these things have been given unto the heathen to be worshipped, man. That's why you go to the Egyptians, these guys got all sorts of crocodile head niggas, dog head niggas, fucking bird head niggas, just these guys got all form of just different geezers, mate. Men are worshipping the sun, the moon, the morning sun. These guys are worshipping all sorts of things. Because why? Everything's been given onto the heathen for those states of worship, man. When you go into these heathen forms of worship, these guys will be like, they'll have a deity for the harvest, for the spring, for summer, for the sun, for the moon, for any form of they'll have one for the fig. They have them for all forms of things. They'll basically have a form of worship for any and everything, man. It's mad. Like, man wants a coffee cup. I'm like, bro, shoe off. But that's the thing. These things, like I said, have been given onto the heathen. That's not for Jake to get up into. It says what? Why must... so it says, okay, yeah. Divide unto the nation on the whole heaven. Verse 20. But the Lord Yahweh have taken you and brought you out the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes, and swear that I should not go over Jordan, and I should not go into the good land, which the Lord thy power hath given thee for an inheritance. Yeah, so the Lord basically was like, yo, snatched up Jake. Jake has a role, man, to basically be that servant, to worship Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. We're basically meant to be there and deal with him. As far as for the heathen, but this time, they've been given any and everything to worship, man. These men are worshiping the trees, worshiping the morning fog, they're worshiping the dog's fart. These men are worshiping every blood clot, bro. But that's, in the kingdom, that's all going to come to a stop. But that's what it's for now.
That was the point. The point was there was specific, when you actually highlighted where you're going to reach to, it just slipped my mind. So, yeah.
It kind of came Isaiah 61, arise, shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. And yeah, it says what? Darkness will cover the whole earth, and gross darkness the people. This is a time where it's like people have been completely disconnected. It's like now Esau's moving like this guy was always an atheist. That's some new shit, man. Back in the day, if you didn't have some gods that you were worshiping, you'd be getting clowned, man. You'd be getting, people be invading you on the daily. But Esau had his gods. You go back to what you call it, ancient Edom. What was his name, man? Yeah, because I remember like the little statue they had. Yeah, that big, funny ass head looking ass.
Big ass nose, man.
That colossal, yeah. Not
Quaz, I think his name is Quaz. But they all have good gods. But even now, it's like even atheism is basically a form of like idol worship as well, because what is it? You worship yourself. You're basically saying that I'm powerful enough to dictate my life, right? And the reality is you're basically putting God upon yourself. Basically. while you're driving. So that defender just driving slowly up, looking at in everyone's car. Yeah. See him really driving. I ain't never seen no shit like that.
Yeah, I think you have to stay
But they
your
might
car.
Or that might be the case. Yeah. I just see a couple see them over there on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
So we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, usually the dignities moving around, foreign dignities. Oh wow. Did you have something?
No.
I think I finished mine.
I was just mentioning that everyone had a God. So you bring up gods. But even today with like atheism, it's basically everyone's putting godhood on themselves. They believe they have the power to manipulate their own fate. And a lot of people in power, that's what they hold to. Self-belief. Even that's why self-help books is like a big trend. And then you go and look into people that basically become successful. What you find out is what? They did it through the what they call willpower. Alright? They meditate in the morning, done breathing exercises, they play their minds.
It's a correct sacrifice.
And that's basically what it is. There's a system in place. The sacrifice they have to make to obtain a certain level of success. And then once you come up in the ranks, you get to a certain place where a door will be open to you and an offer will be made. And then you can be shown how the elite, the upper class of society will really get it. But then that's when you have to put in blood sacrifices, sex magic, different things in place in order to establish your rule. But the starting point right now is like self-help, willpower. I am a god. I control my own fate. I control my own destiny.
That's why there's degrees, man. So you go into the Freemasons, the guys that are on the first degree, them guys don't have no fucking clue what's going on, man. Them guys are just out there. You basically gotta be vetted. You gotta be brought up through the ranks until you get to them higher levels, and that's when you'll start getting brought in on certain things. They'll take you into certain rituals, certain things that are being done, then you'll become a part of it. That's the thing. It's like a lot of these things, like what you see from the outside or what you see from a low level. You're just thinking, it's just a group of friends just coming together. They're just, just to organize, you don't realize there's more going on.
Second Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. But the point being is that men shall be lovers of their own selves. That's why I have a big boom of social media. And more so, it's funny because I saw a clip online where a guy was talking about where he first came in contact with MSN. And they were breaking down the story, saying like, I went to knock for my mate. Remember when you used to knock for your mate? Like, talking about like you had to walk half an hour or 10 minutes to go knock for your friend, and he might not be in, and then you go walk back home. He said it, I was like, shit, I remember them days. Like, you might have gone out on your ones, like, let me go knock for so-and-so. And they're not in it, you're like, shit, let me see if they're here, let me see if they're there. And you don't find them, you chill by yourself, and then you go home at some time. Because there's no one to play out. But he basically said that, he said one of his mates come knock for him. And then he said, like, his mum come to him and said, like, yo, so-and-so's at the door. And he said, don't, tell him I'm busy, I'm on MSN. And he said his mum was like, what the fuck is MSN? And he just told the guy, and he said he remember he's in his house for a whole week, just nudging people to respond if they're old school shit. So basically saying how, that social media, and that's really the onset of it. MSN Messenger, Skype is a little
Facebook
early
even a
Facebook.
lot like
Those are later.
Bebo, High Five.
Because I remember Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook was garbage.
Yeah. And even Black Chat was a bit before our time as well. know that people slightly a year or two older than us, or 3 or 4, they're onto blackjack. Or even people our age as well. But there was different things, different forums you could go to, and that was more of like, why are we saying this?
Lovers
That
of
was a form of
themselves.
communication. But now what's happened is social media has become a life of its own. And really it's by design, because now we're seeing it with Fortnite. You know, Moncler did it, basically as offering an exclusive like
Concert.
concert. No, Moncler, the designers, the fashion house.
Designing fashion.
They're doing they basically got clothes you can buy on Fortnite. Now this is showing you all about the metaverse. It's feeding into where people are going to escape from reality and basically feed into virtual reality, and they're going to be actually like stunting on people in social media, in the metaverse.
Well, that already exists.
And that already, I know it already
like
exists.
even Fortnite, it's like I can't remember, one guy told me, man, there was kids that were getting bullied at school because they didn't have fucking Fortnite skins, man. It's that shit. I was like, bro, that's what's funny,
Imagine
man.
how crazy it's
It's
not even real. But it's real because you have to buy it.
Yeah, you go buy it, and then it's like, and then man, they live in there because it's like I got thinking one of my cousins, I got him on Discord, and then like I see the amount of time that this guy is playing Fortnite in a day, like that's all he plays, and that's like that for that age range, all of them, man, they live on it. Because I remember I went to see one of my other cousins. He was watching YouTube videos of guys playing Fortnite. I'm like, what is the appeal, man? But that's it. It's their generation kind of thing. Just like before, you had everyone on COD or Halo, and then before that, you would have had man on different things back in the day. Like now, that's the kind of world they can go into.
And it's now you have Moncler. That's an incentive for, you know, an older generation, not younger generation. What younger generation know about Moncler? That's more of a thing with like investment teenagers, and they probably will feed into it at some point.
Yeah, because they're trying to, it's legitimizing it as well. They're trying to make it like, oh, okay, this is a legit thing. To where they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, you can make real things in there. It's real, you know, real money, real brand, real whatever. And it's like Fortnite's something where they can do that. Like I said, they've done concerts in there where it's like you buy tickets, then you know, the performing, sit there, be in the performance with all your skins and, you know, Fortnite dances and all that shit.
And this is the other side of it as well. The other incentive, you have Tidal come out now. They have a payment plan where fans will get paid for like straight. They have basically they have an inclusion with the artists to be paid for listening to their favorite artists. So this is really big. It's bringing a whole new world to virtual reality. It's sucking people more. So basically, if you're streaming, if you're like a streamer or something, you get paid. I don't know what the incentive is. I don't know. It may be like, but it's in line with NFTs. Like it's all in line with you're now being able to earn off of art, be a stakeholder in the art, and basically, you know, you getting early on someone's music, you know about it, then basically you'll be a premium stakeholder and you get a lot of money off it. And it's kind of funny because there's artists I even listen to now, and I'm like, I ain't gonna say who it is, but there's one artist in particular. I'm like, you guys, I told you about this guy in 07, 08, you were laughing at me, oh, you don't like it. And now you all listen to it. But then, you know, if I would have been a stakeholder, if I would have had some NFTs in his kind of work back in the day, I'd be laughing because it's like, this guy, his work rate, he's got a high work rate, and everyone's on his dick right now. But that's kind of that's the mindset of the people. They'll be like, I'm a day one, and then that'll really show you on day one. You have you're a stakeholder in that artist, and you're gonna push for them to get out there in the world. So really, what they're doing is they're bringing validity to virtual reality, the metaverse, and all that type of stuff, and people feeding into it. But what's the key incentive? It's the MOTB, it's the rugby, right? For people to have that thing inserted inside their right hand or their forehead. This is all making it as to where man and computer are one.
That's something easy. at something Esau's pushed. Let me read this. It's kind of off the top. Yeah. Ecclesiasticus 3:24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. You know, like the Bible saying, everyone basically come into that self-worship, you know, deify themselves. They're deceived, man. They've basically just accepted something, a lie that's been fobbed off to them. Because as far as like all these, like with social media, with all these different virtual worlds, it's a big factor of it is you basically have an exclusivity. You having some form of exclusivity within that to then hoist over other people and show like, hey, I'm special, you're not.
And that's the lovers, we got the term from being lovers of your own self. Because that's all, now you got an avatar online that's a visual representation of you. And it may even be like Instagram is, you know, like these other social media profiles. It's an over exaggeration of your reality, right? But it allows people to do that. It allows them to be more of a celebrity than they really are. They say you can have you got 1,000 followers, you're an influencer. Damn, I had that shit in Facebook days, man. So I'm an influencer. I don't think so. I just know a lot of people. But that's just an incentive for people to feel like, okay, cool. Like, I'm well known, I'm invested.
Because the thing is anyway, it's like the house always wins. Because people might think they're getting a diddy little, it's even when you're making money, it's like, you might be getting deals, getting contracts, whatever. Those guys you're making deals with, they're making way more of you than you are of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing the deal. And it's like Facebook, Instagram, well, it's owned by Facebook anyway. Facebook, who else would be Snapchat, all these different brands. They're the ones who truly win. That's the thing. Ezekiel 28 and 2. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Most High Power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, not God, though thou set thine heart as a heart of God. So that's far from Esau. This is the thing, it's that same spirit that's being orchestrated at the top. Everyone else on the lower levels is imitating, following after it. Because as far as for the elites, these guys are moving like they're gods on earth. This is the thing, it's like when you deal with Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and blah blah blah. People saying, oh, these guys shouldn't have billions of dollars. They shouldn't be able to be billionaires. They shouldn't be able to do this and do that. These guys are just they want to be able to have those same privileges, man. A lot of what they're basically saying is like, no, you should pay for me to be able to live that same lifestyle, man. They just want the lap of luxury as well. But then what? You're feeding in, man. You're buying in. Because as far as for like Elon's and Jeff Bezos, these guys are worker bees, man. These guys are doing their job for the for the NWO, man. What's his name got divorced? Bezos got divorced, and what's his name left? Grimes left Elon as well, man. These are even the women they're getting. It's not even. Like they ain't even getting.
Latest girl with Leonardo DiCaprio. See what happened?
Oh, is it? No.
Starry-eyed and looked like she wanted to give him the box.
Yeah, well, DiCaprio's done been just run. It's like someone made a graph of like he ain't been dealing with a girl over the age of 25 since years back. Like they said, as soon as they hit 25, he's done. I'm like, and I was like,
the lady's probably older than that, but it's just the point that he's got the force basically.
Yeah.
And it's more of a thing where it's like money don't equate to, you know, charisma, you know, your aura, your spirit, your energy, that whereby people buy into. Alright? So these guys have got all that kind of money, all that kind of but they ain't really that guy. But at the end of the day, they're nobodies. They're subservient to the elites, the old money, that have an agenda that they want to put in place. And to be honest with you, it's nearly in place. It's nearly that time where they're gonna, finish everything.
This is what verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom, with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasure. By thy great wisdom, by thy that's it. It's thou art wiser than Daniel. Esau's been put at a level of wisdom, he's put at a level of ingenuity, he's been able to do certain things. The Spirit's been put on him to be able to take his society as far as it needs to go for the sake of prophecy, man. And that's basically been, and that's the thing, is this has happened through the inspiration of the Heavenly Father. It's not Esau just being that much of such a special
prolific individual. Yeah. But that's really it, because we read it earlier in the book of Romans. It said that what if the Most High willing, to be long suffering, to have give the rulership to those vessels that are fit for destruction, right? So that's what the Most High done. He's done it by design, and there's a purpose in place, because it's cool. Goes back to the garden, man. Eve, Adam, and the serpent. We're in the time of what to tell you in Revelation 20, right, about the serpent being released, being basically going forward for a little period, must move for a little period. This is basically that old serpent. This is the same thing that goes back to the garden. So really it's about the Lord re-establishing his righteousness that he had back in the garden, right? And only the Heavenly Father showing his power, man, showing how great he is.
Yeah, for real. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. And that wealth is a part of it. Esau's been able to amass resources, and basically utilized his monetary system, cracking open and destroying any form of just completely disingenuous and corrupted system that then allows him to exercise even greater levels of control over the people. Because as far as for the general populace, they're all bugged out, man. They ain't got no clue what's going on. They're not aware of the ins and outs of how these things operate. They're just out here doing whatever the hell they're doing. So then what? Therefore, thus saith the Most High power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their strength against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. That's it. It's basically been schemed on, man. Been set it up. Because that's really what it is with Esau, because everyone else is puffed up in that same level of pride. Everyone's is caught up in the pride of life, man. They're basically thinking that whatever they're doing, this is like, people are so bugged out. Everyone's sitting there, like, everyone in a public setting is thinking, like, oh no, people are judging me. Everyone's so fucking self-obsessed. They're always thinking about their own self, man. They ain't looking at other people. They're thinking, oh shit, my thingy, everything looking fine. Oh shit, bro, people are just all in their own heads, just losing their minds, man. They're bugged out, and it's every facet of society basically is used to reinforce them. Because then that keeps people are just thinking about, okay, I need to send these pics to Instagram, I need to do this, I'm gonna flex on this girl, I need to have like at least $1,000, for this night out, blah. People are losing their minds bugging out, caught up all in all the webs of these bullshit systems. And that's what the guys on the top, they ain't even fucking with a lot of that shit, man. What's his name? David the Rothschild. This guy's making plastic boats out of plastic bottles to sail across the ocean, man. These guys are maneuvering in a completely different manner to how people move on the lower level, man. That's why it's called what? The rat race, man. It's the rat race for rats. Man are being looked at like rats, man, like rodents, like nobodies. They're not even on the level, man.
Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Little Radigan.
Yeah. With a Radigan with the Queen's scepter and crown and all that, just like That's it. It's just like he looks. They look the part, but then in reality, what they doing?
It's just a staring and juiced up fucking rat, man. Radigan.
Because that's what we were talking with Robert yesterday. Saying like, these guys are still slaving away. These guys are having to grind, man. They're putting the systems together. They ain't just like enjoying sitting there and doing nothing and having others do it. No, they're still out there having to grind, man. You know, I'm like, bruh, these guys at the top, they're giving instructions. They're not known. No one's. There was the thing, the documentary you mentioned watching as well about people, the richest people in Germany, I believe it was, and how the vast majority of them, these guys aren't known. These guys don't want to be made known in public. They don't want to. They said they don't want people to know where they live. They don't want people to know who their family are. These guys are off grid.
From Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
They know that.
It goes back. Yeah, these guys they can say, donate or whatever. That's the thing is, a lot of the wealth in these ancient families in the West in general, it's going to go back to slavery, man. All forms of exploitation of all these other nations. Because that's how Esau got his wealth. So then what? All these guys are basically going to be on a... All these guys are, what do you call it, future wealth. Because all these guys are basically just gonna then be like, yo, hold on, what's going on? That's the thing. Hey, what's it saying? They shall bring thee. So verse 8, they shall bring thee down to the pits, and thou shalt die the death of them that are slain in the midst of the sea. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am a God? But thou shalt be a man of no God in the hand of him that slayeth thee. That's how cold it is. When it comes down to when judgment's when it comes down to this is what and that's what. So they shall bring me to the sides of the pit. Yeah, will thou say, I am a God in the hand of him that slayeth thee? That's how real it's going to get. That's the thing is, once judgment's up, and this happened to Jake. Jake was in that position and state of prominence. They were basically being held in that state. That's right. Yeah. Jake was in that position of affluence and prominence, to where they were being looked at like they were the ultimate. But then what? The prophecy came, man. These guys were going to fuck off. Then what? Babylon came in, man. Heathens came in and grabbed them up. But then what? Yeah, there was that period of time where Jake was in that position of prominence. Then after, when the spirit came on them, time came for them to go down, they went down. Just the same as it's going to go with Esau now. Esau's now been in that position. For him, the 500 years, it feels like a long time. But it's light work, man. It's light work. 4:1. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out on the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers? The works of the hands of the potter. Yeah, that's it. Jake was at one point. They were that gold. They were that gold that shine, that had luster. But then what? The gold became dim, man. And that's the thing. Is Esau now is like what's it called, man? It's gold plated, man. It's being presented. He's got the shine. What's it called? Tungsten gold, man. That pretend gold. That's what Esau's being presented as. That pretend where everyone's looking at it like, oh, this is a pure resource. There's a man of worth and value. But then it's all just it's games being played, man. It's a presentation that doesn't line up with reality. In reality, you look at how he maneuvers. But oh well, you can see, you piece together. It's like, how did this guy amass his wealth? How did he get his fame? How did he get all these things? It wasn't so. But that's the same thing with Jake. It's like Jake are in that destroyed state. That being brought back to that state of gold, there's all forms of impurities need to get weeded out. And there's some guys that they're just pure impurities now. There's no gold to be refined from them. They're basically just gonna in the furnace, that second death, that furnace of the second death when the missiles hit, that's gonna be the only way they're gonna be purified. They're gonna have to be put to an end and brought back later. It says, even the sea monsters draw out the breath, they give suck to their young ones. The door of my people has become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. The tongue of the suck, yeah, that's even with the women, man. The whole family structure has been thrown in the bin. Every form of how Jake meant to maneuver, Jake meant to function, that's all just completely been done away with. And now we have the so-called Negro, Hispanics, and Native American Indians in a state where there is no family structure, there's no gates, there's no order. Everyone's out basically amongst the heathen as a vessel wherein there's no pleasure. The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth. For first, the young children are spread, and no man breaketh it unto them. They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They were brought up in scarlet embraced dunghills. Yes, all the glory, all the magnificence has been brought to naught. And that's the thing, it says what? For the punishment of the iniquity of the door of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom, that was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her. Yeah, it's a punishment. It's a punishment playing out for Jake. Because why? How they were maneuvering, what they were doing. These things basically led to us breaking a covenant. We're given like, hey, look, you've got rules to follow. You've got a form of conduct you've got to deal with. You don't deal with the form of conduct, the punishment comes. And that punishment results in other nations being uplifted over Jake. It says what? And no, it's greater than the punishment. So, and no hand stayed on her. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. It says, well, the visage is blacker than a coal. Funny because the term that Jacob now referred to as, they're referred to as black, which is there's no nation, there's no nationality aligned with black. That's a color. That's a terminology to describe a form of conduct, man. A negative form of conduct. They say, oh, he had a black mood. It means he had a dark, angry, wrathful mood. They ain't talking about there's nothing to glory in within it. But then that's what's been put onto Jacob. Jacob basically been separated from their true identity, and now they're just looking at themselves like, okay, now I've just become a caricature. Says what they are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones is withered. It is become like a stick. They that be slain with a sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Yeah, there's different layers to how raw the judgment can get. Because if you're slain with a sword, at least you're done. Unless a man just like cuts your guts out and leaves you to fucking rot. Like if you just get clove in half, hey, at least you're done. Because like those that are starving, it's peak. Your ass is there, fucking marvin off. You can barely move, just turning into a fucking mummified corpse as you live, man. All kinds of hell. Yeah. Says what? Revelation 18. Says what? In verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and a hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Yeah, Babylon's fallen, man. That Babylon, what's talking about the new Babylon. Because as far as when you get into the time of Revelation, 90 AD, we're well into what do you call it? The year of our Lord, as it's called. So Babylon's already been done away with for the longest, and repeatedly overconquered. This is talking about the new Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, which is talking about America. And that place fallen. It said what? It's become the habitation of devils, and a hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Yeah, everyone's drunk. Everyone's on that same mindset. As I was saying, about the that men being lovers of themselves, men being all caught up in the vortex of their own self-involvement and self-indulgence. These things, basically, everyone's bugged out. They're not aware, like they're basically bought into it, because that's the culture that's been exalted. When you deal with a lot of the Eastern cultures in the Middle East, in India, into China, all these, it's more communal. It's more about the impact of things upon the rest of everyone else around them. But in the West, it's basically you're meant to then only be looking out for yourself, only working and striving and doing things that will impact yourself positively. And you're basically just meant to, by any means necessary, whether it fucks over everyone else, whether it fucks over the whole planet, you're meant to then just be like, fuck it. I'm basically gonna do what I need to do. And that you can see from how the people on top, that's the thing that's glorified, man. That's the thing that's given that everyone else is promoted to do. But then what? You do that results in a society where you have it. What? Community's gone completely gone in the bin. Any form of people working together, that don't exist. Everyone's just thinking, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I need to do to basically get by. So it says what? And all the nations are drunk of the wine around for fornication. Did I read that? I'll read it again. Verse 3. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So everyone's all the merchants have waxed rich. Everyone's basically making money. it's able to live well, man. You're able to basically utilize all the so-called innovations of the West. That's what everyone's done. But then what? The result of that is then you've also taken on all the burdens. It's the same thing. It's like now that everyone's talking about trying to be in the next up-and-coming empire, the next guys that are basically going to take over the scene. But these guys have taken on the same issues that the West has got. That debt-based economy, where it's like it seems like everything can run good for a while, but then it's all basically been pushed artificially. It's all been inflated. It's all based on monopoly money, paper that's been printed, and then what? Once the faith in the system has been lost, the thing will collapse. Everyone's going to run to things of actual worth. They're going to be clinging onto that gold and silver, which is why that's the same thing. They play with those things to try and make it like, oh, this also isn't. But that's the things of true worth. That's the actual things where you can invest in, where it will last. But what everyone's able to enjoy all the things Esau's pushed out there, man. They're enjoying their automobiles. They're flying around the world, being able to go to different places relatively easily. Enjoying all the electronics, all the different forms of clothing, the different forms of affluence that people are basically bringing upon themselves to try and feel like they're living like the top 1%.